There isn't a better marriage made in heaven than combining meat and mushrooms. Not only does it taste amazing, it also is really economical. This technique is called blend and extend, and I use it in a lot of my recipes. In this recipe, I'm using ground beef, but you can use any kind of ground meat of your choice. You can use chicken, pork, lamb, or even mutton. These beef and mushroom melts are crispy on the outside and simply ooey and gooey on the inside. They're delicious, dipped in some mustard and enjoyed with a cool beverage. The inspiration for this recipe came from my recent trip to Amsterdam. I was so lucky to try the famous Dutch street Bitterballen. This is an amazing treat. It's basically crispy on the outside and just ooey and gooey on the inside. Now, these meat and mushroom melts are so easy to prepare, they're economical. They do take a little bit of time, but once you've prepared them, you're going to have a really large batch to serve your family and friends. I'm going to use equal quantities of ground beef and mushrooms. I've got 8 ounces of mushrooms, and you can either chop this yourself by hand, or like me, you can use a food processor. I'm just going to dump this into my food processor and give it a couple of blitzes, and it's ready to go. In a large saute pan with very little oil, I'm going to saute a 1/4 cup of finely diced red onions. I'm also going to add about 3 cloves of garlic. I've just minced this, and I'm just going to let it saute for a little bit before I add in 8 ounces of ground beef. And I'm just going to break this up so I can separate the meat. I'm going to follow this with 8 ounces of mushrooms that I've already pulsed. I'm just going to add this in together with the meat and mix everything together. Next, I'm going to add some flavor. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of cumin powder as well as a 1/2 teaspoon of chili flakes, and I'm just going to cook this till I know my meat is done, and I'm going to take it off the heat. Don't add salt yet. We're going to talk about the salt just a little bit later. I've got 2 cups of meat stock, and I've just heated this till it's nice and warm. In the same saute pan, I'm going to take all of that meat mixture out, and I'm going to add 1/2 stick of butter. Now that's about a 1/4 cup of butter, and I'm just going to let it melt down just a little bit. And I'm going to add 1/2 cup of regular all-purpose flour, and I'm just going to add this a little bit at a time, and I'm going to keep mixing it with my whisk. Now this is the start of a great bechamel. I'm going to add my warm stock just a little bit at a time. You really need to work really fast. Turn your phone off, don't talk to anyone, and just keep whisking away, because you don't want those lumps to get really hard. You want to break them as you go. I'm going to keep working this till I have a nice creamy mixture. And once this is ready, I'm going to fold in my meat mixture, and I'm just going to allow this to cool. Now's a good time to add some salt. I'm just using some regular table salt. Make sure to taste this, because it's going to sit in the fridge for 24 hours and it's going to thicken up. So you always want to make sure that you have a little less salt than you need. Once it's cool, I'm going to add about a 1/2 cup of fresh parsley. I've just chopped up this parsley, and I'm going to throw it in and fold everything together. Typically, this recipe needs to be prepared 1 day ahead, because your filling does need to be really cold. What I like to do is put my filling into 2 small shallow containers. The reason I do this is because they get cold really fast, but also I like working with 1 batch, and I like to have the other batch still chilling in the fridge as I'm working. I'm going to take these and I'm going to put these in the fridge, and they're going to get nice and hard tomorrow when I finish the rest of this recipe. I already prepared another batch yesterday. Now that's really cool. I'm going to take it out of the fridge, and I'm also going to prepare my work surface. I've got 2 plates. One has breadcrumbs in it, and the other one is just a plain plate. I'm going to take an ice cream scoop, and I'm going to scoop out equal quantities. I'm just going to drop it into the breadcrumbs and then just quickly roll it, and then roll it between the palms of my hands. And I'm going to keep it aside in the clean plate. When I'm done, I'm going to wash my hands in between, because it does get really goopy. And in between batches, I'm going to take whatever I've prepared and put that back in the fridge. I just want them to stay as cold as possible. Once the first lot of the meat and mushroom melts are ready, I'm going to take them out, and now I have a slightly different operation here. I've got 1 plate that has an egg mixture, as well as another plate that has breadcrumbs. I'm going to dip the previously breadcrumbed meat and mushroom melts into some egg mixture. I'm going to make sure to cover it really well and drain out all of the excess egg. Egg is really important. It's actually going to hold everything together. If you have any little holes, you'll see when you're frying these, you will see them coming out a little bit. So once I've dipped them in egg, I'm also going to dip them in the next round of breadcrumbs, and then I'm just going to keep these aside. Now these are ready to fry, but if you're not ready to fry them, you can freeze them. But what I prefer to do is I prefer to make them a couple of days ahead, and then I like to put them in a Tupperware container that has a little bit of kitchen towel at the bottom and kitchen towel at the top. I will usually make these before I roll them into egg and breadcrumbs so that I can just roll them in eggs and breadcrumbs just before I fry them. If you're ready to fry them right away, all you need to do is drop them in some hot oil, and you can see they turn beautifully golden. Make sure to stir the oil so that your meat and mushroom melts have an equal color all the way around. If you're vegetarian, you can use this same recipe and simply double up on the mushrooms. And if you want, you can add other vegetables to the mix as well to make it exciting. And if you're a beef enthusiast, I will be making the original Bitterballen recipe that I tried in Amsterdam later on this fall, so stay tuned for that. The flavors of the meat and mushroom melts blend, extend, and scream delicious. They are so good when you dip them in some hot mustard and enjoy it with a cold beverage. I'm telling you, all of your friends are going to love this recipe. If you love the blend and extend technique, or you just love meat and mushrooms mixed together, try some of my other recipes. I've got an amazing meatball stuffed mushrooms as well as a shepherd's pie. Now, both of these recipes use the blend and extend technique. They're delicious and they're economical. Don't forget, I upload new videos every Friday, so make sure that you're subscribed so you're the first to see them. Until I see you next time, do take care. Bye.